much for still being with us, but it's absolutely worth it. I know it's a long day already, but we have two very, very important topics left. Two session parts will be about the Metaverse, and one will be about communication. So we start with Metaverse here. Well, seems like kind of a buzzword already, but to be honest, Metaverse is nothing really new, and it's not even NFT, it's not Bored Apes, it's not 3D Facebook. It's actually a merge of technologies that are existing already for years or maybe decades. So let's find out what our first speaker on stage will tell us about the Metaverse, a story about the do's and don'ts on a way to smarter environments. Welcome on stage, Latta, speaker and CEO of STINT.
Hello, my audience. So let's start. Suzanne already mentioned the core topics, so I don't need to be here anymore, right? The Metaverse. Metaverse. It's a hot topic. It's, how we say, the hot shit. The thing is, mostly in all of these discussions, we are just focused on, circling around. It's about how to set up a meta business, so copy and paste from the real world into this virtual worlds. It's about how to NFT. It's even about our avatars, how sexy will they look like. More or less, it's even this kind of dizzle-dazzle. So mostly, really the most thing when you hear these discussions, it's about this creators economy. It's about how to monetizing, not really about why should we. So all of these promises that you hear from all of these super experts, when I'm then being called to repair what they have done, it's about trustworthiness. It's about the private. It's about the data. But how and when and why? The Metaverse is not the new thing. It's not. It was already happening since decades. Meta is not the hot shit either. And Zuck is not our Neo. This Metaverse hype cycle, where you see all of these completely different things is coming together. The Metaverse, this term was coined, and it somehow just brings together all of these different technologies. If it's augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and so on and so on and so on. It's just this bringing everything together. So, come on. When you hear all of these Metaverse experts, they will come to one guy, Neal Stephenson. Neal Stephenson coined in 1992 in his novel Snow Crash, the Metaverse. It's the sexy guy with the beard. Now you see it a bit more. It's the one without the glasses. I'm so sorry for you. So he created this vision, or he described the Metaverse itself. Mostly people on stage start then explaining that it's a dystopian vision of people that are developing bad habits and just stay in this metaverse, in this virtual reality. Everything is mean and ugly. It reminds Ein of Ready Player One and so on. But honestly, it's not it. I mean, one question from the audience could be afterwards, what is it really? I will explain this later. The thing here is really that Snow Crash, this novel, it seems to me that none of these experts who are talking about the metaverse has really read about it. So, Metaverse, how they start to describe it, is really something like a vendor login. If I would be mean, I would say one meta to rule them all, and so I will skip it. So in fact, the metaverse, how the real world looks into it, is to set up standards, to combine all of these verses. It's not this one thing, it's not this one hyperactive, dizzle-dazzle, whatever. It's really to bring together these different verses. We've heard over the whole day, we have data layers, we have different approaches, how to interact with mobility, with electricity, and so on and so on. So the real magic is really to set up these standards, to combine it, to make something helpful out of it. So instead of focusing onto these games where we can spend the rest of our lives and pretending to be someone else, we can focus on the biggest magic behind the metaverse. It's an extension of the existing infrastructure, of the existing technology. It's the visualization layer of all the other hot stuff around. It helps us to decomplexitize our highly complex world. This core competence on top, or this core feature that enables the metaverse, is of course XR. XR stands for extended reality, which subsumizes virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, yada, yada, yada. Why is it so? Because we humans, we are visually oriented beings. 90% of our natural compute power goes into processing visual informations. 93% of our communication, human communication, is visual. I mean, I'm standing here, I'm dancing for you, and so on. This is our communication. This is how we interact. Just standing here and saying my text would not help you. It's about the whole show. It's about, do you like me? Do you hate me? Is it interesting? Yes or no? Problem here with is we humans have some disabilities. One of these disabilities is we can not understand complexities. We don't see them. We are extremely biased when it comes into complexities. We think that complexities are chaos. Hey, come on, life is chaos. Life is complex. The whole existence is chaos. And we as humans try to sort and find universal patterns in it. So in fact, what we are doing, we as humans, we think our perspective, this is true. From your side, the perspective looks something different. So we have to figure out, we have to understand that these complexities, the truth, has several completely different angles and perspectives. One additional thing is, of course, the current situation, climate change and so on, our carbon tunnel vision. If we solve this, it does not mean we have solved the rest. Again, humans and complexities. We don't understand them because we don't see them. We can't sense them. The key to everything, we've heard it the whole day, is data. This is key. Data is information. We don't have a natural sense for data. We need, through our optical cortex, understand it, get it in a digestible way. So when Jason was on stage and talking about smart cities and about the data, this smartification of our environments is important, but as well to understand that these smart cities with their dashboards are outdated. Data enables us, or it shows us, that all of this information that surrounds us, it's spatial. Digital becomes spatial, and therefore we need to treat it in the right way. When we start combining, when we have here the infrastructure topics, when we have shared manufacturing, flexible manufacturing, when we have all of these mobility topics, these are different angles that are then put into the smart environments. If it's a smart city, if it's a smart manufacturing, doesn't matter. These are just layers. So the sheer complexity to connect all of these layers, and again, for us to make it digestible and understandable, This is the goal, and this is one of the biggest challenges that can be achieved through the multiverse, through the metaverse, sorry. So, it means that we have to put multiple cloud layers over our reality, over our real environment that we live in. I've put this one onto it with a car, not to annoy you too long with just the metaverse, and to shift a bit more into the whole mobility topic. So now, finally, he talks about mobility. Cloudification and connectivity, they have to go hand in hand. You have connected vehicles, you have hopefully one day connected infrastructures. Each of these devices talk with each other and are creating a constant data stream, cross-brand of course, not just the BMWs with the BMWs, Mercedes with Mercedes and so on. It needs to be interoperable and multimodal. Only then we are able, through distributing this data, through this mobility and connectivity layer, to share all of these findings from our mobility devices with all other participants. Only then we are able really to get this vehicle to everything, or more or less I would say traffic to everything connectivity. Don't be too much concerned about all of these numbers that are there, December 2022 and so on. We are completely out of this date, out of this planning, but still hopefully in latest 5 years we can really have a vehicle to grid, vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to pedestrian communication. We'll see. This is important because the current traffic, how we have it right now, is very complex. It's complex and it can even change. If you are in Berlin, it might be slightly different than if you are in Munich. In Torino, it will be different than in Milan. We do not have this universal behavior. Therefore, these vehicles have to talk with each other, have to talk with everyone who is involved into this traffic. Wrong button. So, the current traffic with more connectivity, with this cloud layer, exchanging informations, could lead to completely and radically new driving assistance, which means see beyond the corner. Which means if you are overtaking a vehicle, that it already starts to warn you, maybe even from the vehicle that will approach you, hey, don't do it, bad idea. Again, everything needs to talk with everything. Only then we are able to develop this idea of swarm traffic, of this advanced traffic, and creating new, more efficient patterns. Again, data layer. So this means finally, if we stay in this mobility cloud, in this traffic cloud, data layers and so on, we are even able to visualize this and to understand it, which is for the whole city planning, for traffic planning, and finally even for us, the mobility participants, very important, because we start to see when happens what, where, and how to react onto this. Do I have some bottlenecks that I have to solve? Again, it's not just about having a dashboard, it's really to experience it. With these multiple layers, and here we can even embed after the traffic layer, we can have the electricity layer. From Aral, we heard it, electricity flow, so back to the grid and so on, how these flows are going, when is whom charging, maybe even to support it that they charge earlier in the morning, instead when everyone gets home. This is important to have all of these in some kind of unconditional system where everyone can participate on this. Having this powerful tool to visualize, and I prefer to talk about to experience, is one of the core issues with the metaverse, really to see it, to digest it, to see it from a different angle. It brings as well a new area how we work, how we interact with each other. The future is less competition. Many corporates still prefer the need-to-know principle, so we don't share informations with you. We just keep it in our bubble. The future is collaboration, communication, and cooperation. It's really to share. For this, you need this layer of data and visibility. This means that we have to even rethink our whole experiencing the work, where everything that can be automatized should be automatized. Everything that can be analyzed should be analyzed, so that the humans can focus on what they are best in. It's creativity, it's innovation, it's ideation. So the metaverse is the one way for multi-perspectivity, when you can go around a problem and see it from a different angle. Remember the picture with true, and truth. I've been highly shocked that with beginning of pandemic, only the office workers were more or less, not everyone, were more or less able to work remotely. What about the construction areas? What about the mining? What about agriculture and so on? Here comes again the metaverse into the game by using gaming technology and AI, of course. It's about to allow everyone to work from wherever they want, if we have the right infrastructure for this, if we have the right layer for this. So imagine, for example, in agriculture, when you don't need to leave your house, when you can steer the robot, if it's remote, if it's via automation, and so on. We have several of these concepts that are like a wingman, that follow you, that are supporting you. Drones. The same concept works in mining. I have here an example, for example, from China. They are working a bit longer on this, where you have really these remotely operated vehicles, where the guy sits in his seat and simply is doing it remotely. We could do it with the metaverse, with immersive technologies, like little children, when you've been playing with your construction area, with the truck, with the lifter, and so on. It's not just the automation, it's as well this remote participation. Construction areas, beside of mining, the same thing, where we are using these multiple technologies to enable the people to work remotely. We see in logistics the same, when they are driving, when you can remotely operate them. This is really the key to let everyone participate through the metaverse, through this layer, onto sitting in his jammies and working remotely, experiencing just in time, completely get a different picture on our whole supply chain. When we are talking about distributed manufacturing, when we are talking about shared manufacturing, or even flexible manufacturing, when you can produce everything in your facility, this all is docked onto data, on these layers. It changes our economy away from linear economy towards circular economy. We've heard it again. The current economy is extremely based on profits. We are circling around profits. We do not talk about longevity. Circular economy is longevity. It is about understanding what resources can we use, reuse, upcycle, recycle, and so on. This can bring as well a complete new mindset towards a circular society. So circular economy is already quite cool. It helps us on the economical level. But imagine when we really can, out of this circular thinking, also start to think in a circular way about our society, sharing, supporting each other, not being egoistic. This is a picture that shows this in detail. What else is connected? It's not just me in my silo. It's about everyone else. So here really skipping this profit-driven, more towards a purpose-driven economy. We could even repair what we've done in the past. And how Lynn already mentioned with PIFT and focusing on the social. We are social beings. And the metaverse can help us as well to, well, bring a bit color into our lives. So that's me. Questions?
Thank you very much, Jay. Well, I have several questions, but I would like to ask the audience before if they have any questions for you, because that is even more important. Any questions for Jay? We have one over there.
Jay, really interesting. So there was an article that came out the other day from Mark Zuckerberg that said that Meta was really focused on having holograms attend meetings for people in the workplace and kind of, having that sort of presence. Do you see that molding with the metaverse, and where do you see that, and when do you potentially see that coming into play?
So all of these, let's call it corporate verses, because this is mainly what it is, that you have a corporate verse where your avatar, where you can attend, when it even maybe makes some meeting minutes for you and so on. So this is just the question, how urgent is the need? Do we really need this, or is a Zoom meeting good enough? We should see it more from this meta level, a holistic level, and what's in for us, how we as humanity can benefit. I honestly don't care about the corporates. They will find a way. It's really about us.
So from your perspective, what are the main drivers, what are the main accelerators for Metaverse?
The main accelerators here is, of course, transportable immersive technologies. This is the first thing. The second extremely huge driver is currently Neil Stephenson and Tony Parisi are debating about standards. How could they look like? It's important to have these standards so that you don't have, let's say, an ecosystem that is only meta-driven, and then you have a different ecosystem that is Microsoft-driven. All of these things need to be multimodal and interoperable. That simply it is.
So let's check if there are more questions. No, then I'm asking. What do you think, what is the role of blockchain in this whole economy, in this creator economy, in the metaverse?
The blockchain. Come on, the blockchain is a distributed database, nothing more. There's just a handful of use cases where blockchain really means have an impact. The main magic behind blockchain is the immutability comes through transparency. This is what mostly corporates, for example, don't understand. Oh, we don't want to be transparent. It's really this immutability comes through transparency. So every kind of use case where I'm willing to be transparent, here it fits. So every kind of distributing informations without hiding them, this is, of course, blockchain enabled.
Perfect. I just saw that we are 2 minutes over. And we extended it a little bit. Jay, thank you very much for being with us today.
Pleasure.
And for sharing all your thoughts and insights with us. It was
Have
a
a great
pleasure.
time.
Thank you.